Hi everyone, welcome back to our donkey story time today. I have two wet donkeys back with us today. They were standing out in the rain. I promise they have a really nice, beautiful shelter to stand in out of the rain where it's nice and dry, but especially for those of you that know big animals, you know that most often they like to stand right out in the open and get totally drenched and rained on. Right, Dolly? That's the way they do it. All right, well today, friends, we're gonna check back in with a smaller animal. We'll check back in with Ralph in our Runaway Ralph series, our story, I should say. And today we're gonna find out what happens. Ralph is now loose. He was able to outsmart Katso for now at least. But so far, no motorcycle, and he has not gotten a chance to get Garf on his side. So we'll see what he can do because chapter 8 is called Ralph Strikes a Bargain. Lana was the one who discovered that Ralph was missing. The morning after Ralph's escape, she came running ahead of Aunt Jill to the craft shop. She stopped short when she looked through the screen door and saw the litter of nails and seeds and plastic strewn about the work table and on the floor. "Aunt Jill! Aunt Jill!" she shrieked, even though Aunt Jill was directly behind her. "Burglars have been here and somebody stole Garf's mouse!" Ralph crouched out of sight behind a fluff of dust in the angle of the brace where it joined the setting. He heard campers coming. "Garf! Garf!" called Lana. "Your mouse is gone! Somebody stole your mouse!" "Hey, look at the mess," said Pete. "The mouse cage is all bent," observed Garf. "A thief wouldn't have bent the cage to open it." "First a watch, now a mouse," said another camper. "A thief in our midst," cried Lana, eager for excitement and mystery. "All right, boys and girls, let's pick up the nails and seeds and roll up the plastic." Aunt Jill's voice was calm. This crisis was not the first that she had met at Happy Acres, nor would it be the last. Then Ralph heard Garf's voice saying, "Look at that hole in the screen door. It's big enough for a cat to squeeze through." "Good thinking, Garf," said Ralph to himself. He had picked up this phrase from the many school teachers who had stayed at the Mountain View Inn while on their summer vacations. Hopefully not like those two school teachers who had caught him in the glass in our last story. "I'll bet Katso got my mouse," said Garf, adding sadly. "And he was such a good mouse, too." Ralph could not help but feel pleased by this compliment, and a little sad, too, actually. Of course he was a good mouse. He had known that fact all along, but hearing himself spoken of in the past made him feel that the world would be a sadder place without him. "Garf, you're a good detective," said Aunt Jill. "Katso must be the guilty one." "Aunt Jill, you don't think Katso ate the mouse, do you?" Lana was awed by the enormity of such a crime. "I hope not, for Garf's sake," said Aunt Jill. "What about my sake?" thought Ralph indignantly. "We'd better look around," said Aunt Jill. "Perhaps the mouse is hiding someplace." Instantly, a mouse hunt was organized. Butterfly nets were seized, jars and boxes moved, craft materials lifted. "Here, Mousy, Mousy," called Lana. "Here, Mousy, Mousy." "As if I would come running," thought Ralph, huddled behind a dusty cobweb in the dark shadows. "I guess he's gone," said Garf at last. "The first and probably the last mouse I'll ever have." "Garf, I am putting you in charge of repairing the hole," said Aunt Jill. "Get a piece of screen and some wire from Uncle Steve, and we'll make sure the Katso won't come in here again. We wouldn't want him to, annoy Chum." At that point, the fur along Ralph's spine began to tingle. We know what that means. "There's Katso now!" cried Lana. Ralph felt the slam of the green door jar the building as Rana ran out. "Bad Katso! Bad cat!" he heard her shout. The scolding did Ralph's heart good. He liked that one. Later that morning, after his riding lesson, Garf returned with a piece of screen and some wire to repair the hole. His work was frequently interrupted as the campers left the craft shop and drifted off to other activities. When Aunt Jill left, Ralph came down from his hiding place in a series of leaps. Through the screen door, he watched Garf sitting on the steps, weaving the wire patch into the screen with that piece. Before he said, "Say, Garf, about my motorcycle." Startled, Garf looked up from his work. "Oh, you're alive!" His obvious pleasure was most gratifying to Ralph. "I thought Katso got you." How come you believe Katso got me when you wouldn't believe Katso stole the watch? Demanded Ralph. I can run and jump, and you know a watch can't, right? It just isn't logical for a cat to steal a watch, Garf insisted. If I show you where the watch is, will you believe me now? Asked Ralph. With a look of interest, Garf sat back on his heels. However, he said, I don't want to have anything to do with that watch. I don't want to be seen near it, or people will start saying that I took it again. Most everyone's forgotten about it, and I want to keep it that way. You don't have to go near it, said Ralph. Just watch me. Flattening himself, he squeezed under the screen door, jumped down the steps, and ran out into the bamboo leaves. Suddenly, all the bamboo leaves looked alike. Which leaf was hiding the watch? Ralph did not know. He looked under one leaf and then the next. He heard Garf mutter, and returned to his work. Over by one of the lodges, Lana shouted, Bad cat! Bad cat! Ralph pushed some leaves aside and crawled under the others. Where was that watch anyway? There was no telling how many leaves had fallen since Katso had dropped the watch. Ralph crawled deeper and deeper into the leaves and was finally rewarded when the touch of metal was felt against his paw. Next, Ralph grasped the buckle on the leather strap and tugged. The watch was heavier than he had expected, but it slid across the smooth inside surface of the leaf. Ralph wadded up through the leaves, pulling with all of his strength, and at last emerged, dragging the watch behind him. See, he said, I told you I knew where it was. Well, what do you know? Garf sat down on the step of the craft shop. You really did. How did the watch get there? I told you, said Ralph impatiently. Katso picked it up in his mouth, carried it out here, batted it around for a while, and finally dropped it where it slid under a leaf. You know, I believe you're telling the truth, said Garf, with wonder in his voice. Of course I'm telling the truth, Ralph was indignant. But what good does it do me? Asked Garf. You know I can't return it, and if I said Katso stole it, people would laugh. The moment was the first time Ralph had been waiting for that moment to see. First, he pulled some bamboo leaves over the watch to hide it before he faced Garf. All right, let's talk business, he said. I return the watch and clear your name. You give me back my motorcycle. From the trampoline, Ralph heard Lana say as she bounced, Bad dog, Sam. You're supposed to be a watchdog. Aw, poor Sam. She stopped bouncing and began to scold Sam. You're a watchdog. Why didn't you watch what Katso was doing? Why did you let Katso get that poor little mousie? Garf thought a while before he said, Why do you want the motorcycle? The ground is pretty uneven around here. Why do you want it? Countered Ralph. You're too big to ride it. It's mouse size, not boy size. I want it because I like to think about motorcycles, said Garf. I push it back and forth and think about riding a motorcycle when I grow up. I want to ride it, said Ralph. Now, back to the Mountain View Inn. I want to go home. The Mountain View Inn? Garf was incredulous. That's over a mile away. You would never make it. Ralph recalled the long and thrilling downhill ride. He remembered how he had thought at that time that he would never be able to go back up that mountain road. Maybe you're right, he admitted. Of course you wouldn't, said Garf. He pulled the motorcycle out of his pocket and ran a finger over the front tire. Just like that. For one thing, your tires would never stand the trip. They're wearing smooth already. There's still a lot of mileage left in them if you ride on floors, but they won't hold up on the highway. Oh, Ralph had not considered the possibility of his tires wearing out. And another thing, said Garf, you'd probably get laryngitis in your throat from making a motorcycle noise before you were even halfway there. Ralph was utterly dejected. I suppose you're right. Bad Sam, scolded Lana from the trampoline again. Ralph ducked under a leaf while some campers walked past. What am I going to do? He asked pitifully as he emerged. I can't stay here with the cats. I'm a hotel mouse. I'm not used to living on weed seeds out in the cold. When winter comes, I'll probably die if the cats don't get me first. I've got to try to make it back to the hotel. You should have thought about things like that before you ran away, said Garf. I should have, but I didn't, said Ralph coldly. You don't have to sound so grown up. Sorry, apologized Garf. The dinner bell rang and the campers began to run toward the dining hall. Fatso, avoiding Lana with a haunted look on his furry face, darted from one hiding place to the next on his way to the kitchen door. Poor old Sam, so conscientious and anxious to please, padded dejectedly across the grass with his tail drooping. He had failed in his duty. Ralph did not have much time. "Do we have an agreement or don't we?" he demanded of the boy. And I'm going to leave you hanging there, and we'll see what they decide. If Garf's actually going to help Ralph, if Ralph's going to help Garf, if finally their friendship is working out, or if this all may become totally mixed up again. We'll find out more the next time, but for now, I'll leave you with just reminding you to keep checking our Google Classroom. We have some special things coming out for you again next week, and I know I have some special surprises popping up during the day today, so don't forget to take a peek. Keep up the great work, and I'll remind you just to look for moments where you can show kindness and caring and where you can help out one another in your day today. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.